If one seeks to understand in depth the current structure of global politics and the shifting centers of power, one reality emerges beyond any doubt. In the 21st century, the state that has not only influenced the global order but has also acquired the capacity to reshape it is the People's Republic of China. Its rise is not merely an economic phenomenon, rather, it is the outcome of civilizational continuity, historical consciousness, and strategic wisdom distilled from centuries of accumulated experience. China's history spans nearly 5,000 years, and it is precisely this long and uninterrupted historical continuity that distinguishes it from other modern states. China had grasped the concepts of statehood, nationhood, civilization, and power at a time when Europe was still unfamiliar with the very idea of the modern nation state. Consequently, ancient Chinese empires were not only politically and administratively strong, but also enjoyed exceptional superiority in the intellectual, cultural, and economic domains. Ancient China, particularly during the Han Dynasty from 206 BCE to 220 CE, and the Tang Dynasty from 618 to 907 CE, was the most powerful political and cultural center in Asia. A well organized bureaucracy, codified laws, agricultural reforms, and international trade routes such as the Silk Road transformed China into the hub of global commerce. It was during this era that Chinese innovations such as silk, paper, gunpowder, and the compass fundamentally altered the course of human history. It would not be an exaggeration to state that until the 15th century, China held the largest share of the global economy. According to historical estimate, nearly 30% of global production measured as global GDP originated from China as late as 1820. This stands as clear evidence that China was not merely a regional power but a central pillar of the global system. The harsh reality of history is that no power remains permanent. China, too, gradually moved toward decline due to internal stagnation, technological inertia, and mounting external pressures. This decline became particularly evident in the 19th century when European imperial powers, armed with modern weaponry and disciplined armies following the Industrial Revolution, entered Asia. In comparison, China's traditional military and political structures appeared increasingly inadequate and vulnerable. The Opium Wars, fought from 1839 to 1842, proved to be a decisive blow to Chinese sovereignty. As a result of these conflicts, China not only lost Hong Kong, but was also forced to accept a series of unequal treaties that severely weakened the Chinese state economically, politically, and legally. This period was later enshrined in the Chinese national narrative as the century of humiliation. China's profound decline eventually gave rise to revolutionary movements. Following the collapse of the Qing dynasty in 1911, the Republic of China was established. However, persistent political instability, civil war, and Japanese aggression prevented the consolidation of the state. Ultimately, in 1949, under the leadership of Mao Zedong, the Chinese Communist Party proclaimed the establishment of the People's Republic of China, a moment that proved to be the most consequential turning point in modern Chinese history. In its early decades, China adopted a rigid ideological path. Although experiments such as the Great Leap Forward and the Cultural Revolution inflicted severe social and economic damage on the state, these periods imparted a crucial lesson: ideology alone, without practical and coherent strategy, cannot guarantee success. The reforms initiated in 1978 under the leadership of Deng Xiaoping transformed China's destiny. For the first time, the state prioritized pragmatic economic management over ideological rigidity. Under the policy of reform and opening up, China embraced private enterprise, foreign investment, special economic zones, and an export led growth model. The results of this strategy were extraordinary. Within just 4 decades, China lifted more than 800 million people out of poverty, its GDP expanded from approximately $150 billion in 1978 to over $17 trillion in 2023, making it the world's second largest economy. For several decades, China maintained an average annual growth rate of 9 to 10%, an achievement virtually unparalleled in global economic history. Alongside its economic strength, China began to play an increasingly active role in global politics. Its presence in platforms such as the United Nations, the World Trade Organization, WTO, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, and BRICS elevated it to a key actor in international decision making. Through initiatives such as the Belt and Road Initiative, China opened new avenues of infrastructure development, trade, and influence across Asia, Africa, and Europe. Today, China is not only the world's largest exporter, but its naval, aerial, and cyber capabilities are also advancing rapidly. As a result, its relationship with major global powers, particularly the United States, has evolved into a complex blend of cooperation and strategic competition. China's role in global politics is not merely a reflection of its present power, it is the product of a long historical struggle marked by rise, decline, humiliation, resistance, reform, and remarkable recovery. This historical consciousness forms the foundation of China's foreign policy, its global vision, and its strategic decision making. Drawing lessons from Chinese history, it becomes evident that if nations learn from their past, adopt long term planning, and align national objectives with state strategy, they can reclaim their place in the global system within a relatively short period. In this context, China's rise has become the most decisive chapter in 21st century global politics. Within this same historical framework, if Pakistan undertakes a serious assessment of its current political, economic, and institutional condition, it becomes clear that China's rise was not the product of mere good fortune. Rather, it was the result of long term vision, consistent state policies, legal frameworks, institutional reform, and clearly defined national priorities, elements whose absence has been the greatest obstacle to Pakistan's development. If Pakistan rises above short term political interest and places the economy, education, technology, governance, and human capital at the core of its national security and state policy, strengthens institutions, ensures strict merit like its armed forces and accountability, and establishes continuity in national policy making. It can not only overcome its internal weaknesses but also emerge as a dignified and effective economic power in the region. China's example demonstrates that states do not alter the course of history through slogans, temporary decisions, or imported models, but through organized reforms grounded in local realities, prudent restructuring, and decisions anchored in national interest. Therefore, if Pakistan's leadership sincerely embraces this reality, achieving a respectable position in the global economy is by no means an unattainable goal.